Hey, everybody. Welcome to another conversation with another character. I keep putting character in air quotes of our book, What I Can Be Is Up to Me. You know, the characters in this story are actual, real people in this world that are out there being what they want to be in the world, no matter who says what about it. And boy, have people said some things and thought some things about our next character. Wait, you ready for it? The blind braille artist. The blind braille artist. You can imagine what people initially thought. And I already know from talking with Clarke Reynolds very early on when he was had decided and believed in himself that he could make this career happen. And you can imagine the things that people said about how could you really be an artist and be visually impaired and incorporate braille in it. Well, braille and art is what Clarke has begun in this world. He has only just begun, and we're going to have such an exciting conversation today. But let's read Clarke's page in What I Can Be Is Up to Me. Here we go. What I can be is up to me because you see, I believe in me. I can be like Clarke. I can create paintings too, dipping the brush, painting the canvas, making touchable art, dip, drip, dot. And there is Clarke's picture in the book and the super cool text with dip, drip, dot in a super fun font by our illustrator, Kim Crothers. Ladies and gentlemen, Clarke Reynolds. Clarke, it is always super mega fun to have you in I was going to say my Zoom room, but we're
well,
in the live
well,
stream. We have grown up now.
I know,
How's it
and
going, man?
well, to all the audience, obviously, I'm the only Brit in the book, so that's a really proud moment. Out of all those amazing Americans, I've crossed over to the pond and that I've made it, and I truly believe in deep down that Americans get me more than the UK. That's why I'm so successful more in the States than I am in the UK, which is amazing.
Tell us about that project that you just mentioned with the bricks.
I've been doing workshops around schools called the Building Blocks of Braille, and I don't want to give too much away because I'm planning a massive in the UK an Arts Council project for next year, because next year is the World of Literacy. I don't know if in the UK there's massive things going on. So Braille is literacy. So I'm gonna be part of that. You know, one way or another, I'm gonna be enfolded in that, and it's going to be a tour of the Building Blocks of Braille around the UK. I'm hoping to go to music festivals and places where you wouldn't see art, and that's the beauty of my project.
Places where you wouldn't see art. Well, as we know from when you began, Clarke, many people thought that they wouldn't see a blind artist, let alone one that utilizes Braille. What was that like in the very beginning? Because I can remember it when we first met in the Thriving Blind Academy, which, by the way, all of the proceeds of this book benefit programs at Thriving Blind Academy. But talk to us a little bit about, inform our viewers and our listeners about what that was like in the beginning.
It was because obviously it's new, isn't it? And obviously, the feedback I got was from the purists, mostly saying Braille is not meant to be seen. You're making my life a lot harder. But I was trying to say to them, look, I want to make Braille inclusive. I want it to be in the norm. You know, I want it to be as normalized as if we're going to see normal signage, typography, you know, throughout our lives. You know, that's what I want. That's what I dream of, and that's what I'm doing with my art. And it was a struggle to start, but now I can say that I have a major gallery in London, and in just over 1 year, my gallery has sold over £250,000 worth of my art. So I think it's about $330,000. Yeah,
Wow.
so that's a lot of dots.
That's a lot of dollars and a lot of dots. I know that you've been this is my sweet spot, why my smile is so stinking big and nerdy right now, but you've been in schools, elementary schools, and doing things with kids. How has that been?
It's the best part of my job. If you can call an artist being a job, because I wake up every morning like energized and it's a new day. So I go into schools because it's that generation we need to change. It's that generation that also asks questions that adults don't ask because they have no filter. So when I go to school, I always do an assembly and then I do a project and then those kids ask questions and then they go home and then they talk to their parents and they say, look, I've just met a blind artist. And then they go, what? A blind artist? And then the conversation starts, and we break down the stigma attached to sight loss. What is sight loss? Everyone thinks it's complete darkness, but it's not the case, and over the last 2 years, over 10,000 kids I've engaged with in the UK and across the world.
10,000 kids.
10,000
Wow.
kids. And what's really, in the UK, there's a big award called the National Diversity Award. And I've just been shortlisted for the final of that award. So over 90,000 applicants. I've been whittled down to the top 9 of my category, which is the Disability Role Model of the Year award, which is huge. I mean, recognition just for what I do in the creative sector is massive, and it's only going to bring more power to my the idea of Braille being used every day on toilets and menus and in school. So yeah, that's going to really help really help it.
Wow. Clarke, remind me, where in the UK are you're outside of London? Is that right? Just give people an idea of where you're coming from.
So I'm from a place called Portsmouth. It's the home of the Navy. So a lot of your listeners maybe have people in the service. So when those big cruise ships come in, they actually dock at Portsmouth. My dad was in the Navy, so Navy boy, and it's literally the south of the UK in the middle. So there's a little place called the Isle of Wight, and Portsmouth is actually an island. It's a fact for you. It's the most densely populated island in the world per square footage. Yeah.
I'm looking at your shirt, and I've already, said several times that you're the blind Braille artist. You're talking about all of this exposure you're giving folks to Braille. What do you say to the folks that are like, Braille's too hard to learn, we should just bypass it and do audio? Braille's just too hard.
I think that the idea we need to bring Braille in the 21st century. I love my audio books. I don't go and get an audio Braille book because that's like reading War and Peace every day. I don't do that. I have my audio book when I'm doing my art and stuff. It's great. But I'm talking about proper use of Braille. Like Braille should be on every toilet door and not up here, like above your head. It should be by the handle by law. And it doesn't have to be small. I don't understand as a blind person why we're hunting around for something that's insignificant, so small. We can read Braille big. We can speed touch like you speed read. So make it big. Just give it color. Make it part of the fabric of the building. Treat it like typography, and that's what I do. And that's the beauty of my Braille. It's not your small dots like hunting around. I make Braille fun and inclusive for everyone.
And just for all the cynics out there that say, "Oh, it takes too long to learn. It's just gonna be too hard." What was it? A couple of weeks, a couple of months that you learned Braille in?
3 weeks. It took me 3 weeks just because, as an artist, I saw it as a pattern, not as a letter. And obviously, I created different images of, the hardest ones were like your D, F, H, and J, because they're quite very similar in shape. So I just wait, so D looks like the top part of a D. J is a J. H, if you had a capital H is that H, part of the H, So I take these shapes in my head. And that's how I learned Braille, because it's a pattern. And by blowing up as well, it was never about the dots. No blind person can read individual dots. It's impossible. What we're reading is in negative spaces. That's what we're reading. So as our fingers going across it, it forms a pattern. So when you blow up the Braille, the pattern becomes more distinctive. So it's never about the individual dots. Even though I use the dots, it's about the pattern. And that's what Braille is. And that's when I go to schools and I teach it like this. And I teach it to vision impaired adults that are scared of learning Braille. And they go, oh, yeah. It's like something's clicked in their brain, because I believe when Braille is being taught, it's been taught in such a way that it scares people to learn Braille. And it's like riding a bike. If you've got training wheels, so my big Braille is training wheels, and you learn about the pattern, then you can move down. You can go down the grades, as I say. You can go from 2 centimeter dots to 1 centimeter dots to the Braille dot, and then you learn the pattern, and that's key.
What do you say? Okay, so you learn the pattern. See, this is what I love about, and this is what I talk about so often, is that people that have a disability or even a perceived disadvantage, right? When you seem to be up against a world that doesn't think the same or look at things the same, you develop these innovative strategies and different ways of going about solving problems, really. And that is a whole different, unique perspective that I don't believe I've heard anywhere else, that it is really about the negative space of Braille. Is that just what you came to when you were learning it? Has your mind always gone that way of, let me look at this a different way and make it easier?
I think so, because as an artist, it's all about problem solving. My degree was in model making, so it's all about jigs. You make your jig to make the job better. So as a blind person, I took that concept from my degree, making a jig to make my life better. So make the brow bigger to make my life better. It made perfect sense, and it was like I love being blind. Every day is a new day. We talked about learning, navigating new buildings, architecturally, and new places, and learning about myself as well. You have your dark days, of course, but every person has dark days. You don't have to be blind to have dark days. So for me, like I say, I love being blind. I can't change who I am. And look, I'm a character in a book. I mean, come on. If you told me that when I was diagnosed with sight loss 10 years ago, that I would be a character in a children's book in America, right? I would have to put money on it, really. Yeah.
Clarke, one of the reasons that you came to my brain pretty much first when I was thinking about who to highlight in this book. Of course, we were looking for diversity in terms of things that you do in the world, and making sure the kids realize that there's a whole gamut of options, right? And I just thought it was so cool that everyone says a blind artist, no way, impossible. So I love that. But one of the parts in the book says, the tools, the best tool of all is inside their head, right? When we talk about in the book about the tools of blindness and what people with vision loss use, guide dogs and canes and technology, but the best tool of all is inside their head. You just touched on that a little bit about mindset. Go a little more into that for folks about how you keep this mindset, and bouncing back from, like you said, like a dark day here and there. Do you have like specific things that you do? Is it just something in you that just comes out? What do you say to folks that just can't seem to tap into that number one tool, that mindset in their head?
I think it's just the passion of art has really helped. People say, obviously, I know a lot of vision impaired friends, and they said they've had really bad dark days because, but for me, because I've had an overactive imagination since the age of 6, as you might call it. Yeah, it wasn't sight loss. Wasn't like, oh my god, I'm losing my sight. Right? It was like, right, how do I still become that artist that can't see? And that was my mindset. It was never about, oh god, I'm going blind. How do I make a cup of tea? How do I go from A to B? It was about, all right, I still want to be creative. I still want to do what I loved to do when I was 6 years old. Nothing's changed, just that I've lost my sight. And that's always been my mindset. And now it's like, because I'm blind, and the art is kind of, it's transforming not just my life, but all those thousands of kids that I've engaged with, all the vision impaired children that I talk to. Every time I'm on TV or I do something, I get random emails from across the country saying what you're doing is amazing. And it feels like I've got a purpose in life now, and that's what brings me most joy, having another life, truly.
I love it. I love it. It is, I know from personal experience, you find your passion, you find your purpose, and that's what you've tapped into, and that leads you to being unstoppable. It's absolutely fantastic to witness and to be a part of. What do you have coming up that you're most excited about? I know you have a lot of things going on. First of all, that diversity award. I mean, 90,000 people considered for
Yeah.
that, and you're in the top. I am not surprised, but I have to tell you how proud and elated I am that you're bringing so much awareness, not just awareness. I don't like to use the word awareness, just that, not just awareness to this community, but the positivity, the smiles, the joy, and the energy that you're bringing to it is absolutely extraordinary. So where is that energy and positivity taking you next that you're most excited about?
So I'm planning another Braille word search at the Mary Rose Museum, which is a big museum in Portugal by my studio, and obviously it's the Henry Yates flagship that's sunk in the Solent. So I'm working with vision impaired children, and we're creating a word search, and I'm also doing the toilet signage for the museum, a first of its kind, probably in the world. Clarke Reynolds Braille signage. So the idea is we're using their colours, and the Braille for the toilets are either going to be an M, an F, a U, or D, and it's going to be by the handle. So you can have the normal toilet signs where it says the male, the female, whatever, but by the handle, a visually impaired children can reach out and instantly, just by touch, what gender toilet they're going in, and that's key. So I really applaud that, and obviously the awards. If I win the awards, but I feel like I'm a winner already. It's going to be amazing, and hopefully, I'd love to come. I really want to come back to the States. I just had my first international solo show in the States, where I created the first ever color coded Braille Scrabble in Wichita, which was amazing. But I really do want to come back to the States and do these amazing do talks with yourself and create building blocks of Braille with visitors. I really want to do that. Hopefully that will pay off one day. That I'll spend another month in America being Clarke, as they say.
You got to come during football season because I know that you are an American football nut.
I am indeed. I am a huge NFL fan. Cincinnati Bengals is my team just because it's the best jersey out there. But I just love this sport. I love F a blind sport. It's great, as in the order description. It's a fast-paced game. It's like chess. The commentators are outstanding. We get a lot of football in this country, so we get Monday Night Football. We get like a magazine show with the two best reporters ever. They are ex-NFL English players. Osi Munenori, who won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. He is hilarious. He cracks me up every time. So yeah, it's my favourite sport ever.
How did you come to love American football? Just from the minimal that was on TV over there?
Yeah, so we back in the 90s we got it a lot. That was the Green Bay Packers, and I'm not a Packers fan. I hate the Packers. Ugh. And then in the early 2000s it came back in again, and obviously Wembley got some games, and I've been to a couple of Wembley games, and the atmosphere was amazing. 80,000 fans. Now everyone's supporting loads of different teams. It was like, and we have to. You see the stoppages on TV, and it goes to an advert. But the stoppages, there is no stoppages because every time there's a stoppage in play, you have cheerleaders, you have people throwing in shirts, you have music going on. It's like a big concert every time. So it's an amazing spectacular.
Oh, I love it too. I mean, I'm a lifelong soccer player, but boy, do I love our football over here. Good stuff. All right, we have to definitely time this right. And you have to come to an Eagles game because I am a Philly girl. So those are the games that I go to. I don't know about the Bengals, but whatever.
I don't mind the Eagles. The Eagles are fine. They're a good team. They're watchable. Yeah, and they've got the best. They've got a great fan base. Obviously, the Phillies, and obviously, I'll have to try a Philly steak at the. Yeah, a proper Philly steak. That's what I would need, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. All right, so it's in the universe now. We're going to be getting together with Clarke here in Philly. Any more final words for your many, many, many fans out there and fans of the book, Clarke?
I just say watch this space. Also, I'd like to thank you, Kristin, because when I met you just over 3 years ago, I didn't know where my life was going to take me. But by being a part of your summit, that first one, it just by giving that keynote speak, it gave me a purpose. So you are a big part of where I am today. So thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for that, Clarke. And there are so many people in our fan base, but also especially in Thriving Blind Academy that are where they are because of the messaging that you give all the time. And especially when you are open to talking about your challenges and letting folks help you through them, and then you're helping others through there. So it's definitely a win-win-win. And we absolutely love cheering you on. So thanks again for taking a few minutes out of your packed. I know that you are thrilled every time to your calendar. So thanks for joining us here, Clarke. And folks can get What I Can Be is Up to Me at whaticanbeisuptome.com. And if you want to get in touch with Clarke and find out more about him, there's also going to be a specific link to look at Clarke's page in the book and access all the info about him at whaticanbeisuptome.com. All right, Clarke, thanks a bunch. We'll see you next